I've read on the internet, you know, the internet is kind of where people turn for knowledge these days. Some people say that they don't know that your kits can work because you've got the pipes that go all the way from the back all the way to the front. Let's educate some people about this stuff. What happens with heat loss? Do you have to worry about not having enough pressure in the tubing, going from the back of the car up to the intercooler? Let's get some knowledge out there.
Yeah, there's two sides to that. You've got the exhaust side, obviously, which people go, man, the turbo has to have heat to work. You know, it's not the heat that drives the turbo, it's the airflow across the turbine wheel. We can talk about the intake side, but let's deal with this one. It doesn't really take heat. You can take a torch to a turbo and heat it up. It doesn't do anything. It just gets hot.
Yeah.
So what they're really talking about is the heat of the exhaust that expands the exhaust and turns it from low volume to high volume. And what most people don't understand is that's all within a closed system. The turbo is downstream with, you know, a closed pipe between the engine and the turbo. So anything that's in there, if it is hot and expanding, where's it going to go? It doesn't go outside the pipe, it pushes the air down the pipe. So any heat expansion coming out of there, which there's a lot of it in a turbo application, that heat expansion just blows up the air and makes a lot of volume, which forces it right down the pipe and into the turbo. The nice thing is the air at the turbo has lost some of that heat. And so it's a denser air charge. If it's more dense, it's going to drive the wheel a little better. Because what it actually is just the molecules hitting that wheel, and if those molecules are packed in tight, they're hitting the wheel more and driving it more efficiently.
Great.
As far as one more thing on that. The thing that makes the air go across the turbo is, on the exhaust side, is the pressure difference between the inlet and the outlet. You've got a high pressure zone and a low pressure zone. Well, that air wants to go from high to low pressure. So the lower pressure you can get on the outside of the turbo, the more easily the air goes through it. Our stuff, some of our tailpipes are 12 inches long. You don't got much downpipe, and so there's really no pressure after the turbo. If you take in comparison, move that turbo up front where you've got to snake the downpipe down and out, and you've got to run it through catalytic converters and then run it through mufflers and clear out the back of the car. You can see that there's more pressure after the turbo on that situation than there is when you're just dumping out the front. So just like a race car, you wouldn't put a bunch of junk after it. You just have a nice short downpipe, get it out of the way so it doesn't fry anything, and that's good enough. As far as the intake side, people look at the length of the pipes and go, oh my gosh, you know, how long does it take to get from here to there on the air? You know, it's got to be like, what, 20 minutes? And it's just kind of comical. You go to any NMRA drag race and watch any of the cars that are running 6s or 7s, how much piping is on one of those cars. You know, they've got the turbo sitting up, you know, right on the front bumper, and then they've got these big old pipes that are 4, 5, 6 inches that run clear into sometimes in the back seat of the car, with big old intercooler, half the size of this table, and then big old pipes that run clear back up to the engine. And the volume in those, it's just huge amount of air. You know, and that thing launches on, 10, 15 pounds of boost, and within a second it's up to 30 pounds of boost, and you got a 200+ mile-an-hour car in a quarter. So if you look at that, if something's not going to work because it's got too much volume of air, it's going to be one of those cars, and those cars obviously work very well. But you got to keep in mind that, yeah, the pipes are there, but the pipes are full, and they're full all the time. It's not like your garden hose where you turn it on, and yeah, it takes a while for it to, okay, as water comes, is it coming? Okay, well, oh, finally, here comes the water, But if you turn the hose back off, and it's full, you turn it back on, and it immediately comes out. Yeah. And so that's what you're dealing with. As I think people think that, well, the pipes are empty and they have to fill. Well, they're always full. And so it's just like your exhaust. As soon as you start that car, you got exhaust coming out the tailpipe. And it doesn't take very long to go from the head to the tailpipe on a car. It happens that fast if you've got any horsepower at all. So it's just enough of a cushion to where the turbo comes online nice. You don't get that real peaky nitrous type of horsepower graph that a lot of the front mount turbos do. That's why a lot of our stuff is so drivable. You get guys like Doug DeVans that, for instance, Pro-Am drift car. A lot of control because the turbo is so smooth and controllable. You end up with a horsepower curve. Looks very natural. It's just really big.